Hello Muslim friends in the world. In a small town in the Andalusian region of Spain, there is an old church called Iglesia de la Esperanza. This church, built in the 16th century during the resurgence of Christianity in Spain after the Reconquista, features characteristic Gothic architecture adorned with intricate carvings and colorful stained glass windows. It serves as a spiritual center for the local community. Every Sunday morning, the church bells ring loudly, calling the faithful to worship. The atmosphere around the church is always lively, with children running around in the courtyard and elders engaging in friendly conversations before the Mass begins. Besides the local congregation, tourists from around the world often visit to experience the warmth of this church community. The church is led by a priest named Padre Emilio. Since his youth, Emilio has dedicated his life to serving God and others. He is known for his humility, wisdom, and compassion. Every sermon he delivers touches the hearts of the congregation, as he not only quotes scripture but also relates it to everyday life. Padre Emilio has a unique habit. After Mass, he always takes the time to speak with each member of the congregation individually. He listens to their concerns, offers advice, or simply exchanges a warm smile. This personal touch makes the congregation feel deeply connected to him. That Sunday morning at Iglesia de la Esperanza was bright and sunny. As usual, the church was filled with people from all over the town eager to hear Padre Emilio's sermon. The atmosphere was solemn as he delivered a message about forgiveness and love, sharing a biblical story that encouraged the congregation to trust in God in all situations. However, during the sermon, the ground suddenly shook violently. The chandelier hanging from the ceiling swayed dramatically, and some congregants began shouting in panic. The floor felt as if it was rolling beneath their feet, and a thunderous rumble echoed throughout the old church. Children cried in fear, and some people stood up, searching for exits. Padre Emilio, standing at the pulpit, raised his hands in an attempt to calm the congregation. "Stay calm, brothers and sisters. Trust that God is with us," he said. But the tremors grew stronger, and the panic intensified. Suddenly, amid the chaos, a man named Ali, a visitor to the church who had come to accompany a friend, stood up and loudly exclaimed, "Allahu Akbar." His voice echoed through the room, momentarily stopping some of the panic. Ali, a Muslim, raised his hands to the heavens, praying for God's protection. Seeing Ali's act of faith, some members of the congregation were inspired and began offering their own prayers, whether in the form of Christian hymns or personal appeals to God. Soon, others followed suit, each praying in their own way, creating a harmony that was unusual but deeply moving. Amazingly, just a few seconds later, the earthquake began to subside. The violent tremors gradually stopped, leaving an unusual silence enveloping the church. People looked at one another, filled with gratitude and confusion, unable to believe that they had all survived. Padre Emilio descended from the pulpit, approached Ali, and grasped his hand with deep respect. "Thank you, brother. Your prayer reminded us all that God listens to anyone who calls upon him, regardless of where they come from or how they pray." Ali smiled and replied, "God is one. We are all his servants, each praying in the way we were taught." After this incident, the atmosphere in the church became one of profound gratitude. The congregation hugged one another, thanking God for their safety. The earthquake not only strengthened the faith of the churchgoers but also opened their hearts to the understanding that faith transcends differences in belief. Padre Emilio later incorporated the event into his sermons in the following weeks, teaching his congregation that God's love is universal and that, in critical moments, humanity has only one hope: to rely on the Creator. From that day on, the church became a symbol of unity, a place where anyone, regardless of their faith, could find peace. After the earthquake, the spirit of Iglesia de la Esperanza transformed significantly. The event had shaken not only the church's physical structure but also the hearts of everyone present. Many congregants, including Padre Emilio, reflected deeply on its meaning. They recalled how Ali's prayer, a Muslim's cry of faith, became a turning point amidst the panic. Ali, who had initially come as a visitor, began returning to the church despite its damage from the earthquake. He did not come to judge but to converse with the congregation, explaining his faith. With great gentleness, he shared about Islam, the one God, and Prophet Muhammad as the final messenger. The congregation listened with open hearts, especially after witnessing the power of Ali's faith and prayer during a moment of crisis. Padre Emilio was particularly moved. A man always seeking truth, he found himself drawn to learning more about Islam after the earthquake. He engaged in long discussions with Ali, read the Quran, and reflected deeply on its teachings. Every question he posed was answered by Ali with patience and wisdom, further piquing Emilio's curiosity. A few weeks later, Padre Emilio decided to embrace Islam. With firm conviction, he recited the Shahada in front of Ali and a few other congregants who were also intrigued by his journey. It was an emotional moment, as Emilio, now choosing the name Abdullah, felt he had found the peace he had been searching for. Other congregants, inspired by Emilio's spiritual journey, began following his path. Within a few months, the majority of the church's congregation had embraced Islam. They viewed the earthquake as a sign of God's mercy, guiding them toward the truth. The church, which had been damaged by the earthquake, was eventually torn down. On its land, the congregation collectively built a mosque, naming it Masjid al-Hidayah, as a reminder of the guidance they had received. Ali, who was regarded as the light bearer for them, was appointed as the mosque's first imam. Every Friday, the mosque filled with worshippers who had once been members of the church. They eagerly learned how to pray, recite the Quran, and deepen their understanding of Islam. Abdullah, formerly Padre Emilio, became one of the teachers guiding them. Drawing from his knowledge of his former religion, he explained the similarities and differences, strengthening the faith of his new Muslim brothers and sisters. Masjid al-Hidayah has since become a hub of community activities, a place where people share knowledge, assist the needy, and foster brotherhood. What was once seen as a calamity is now remembered as the beginning of a new journey toward the light of Islam.